As a small business owner, have you ever felt overwhelmed by the pressure of choosing the right hire or leading a team? Or have you ever found yourself tolerating a bad hire because you fear trying and failing again as you repeat the hiring process? If so, you're not alone, and you are in the right place. Welcome to the Growing Your Team podcast. The Growing Your Team podcast teaches business owners like you to expand your unique business by teaching you to master the hiring and team management process. Hiring and managing a team does not have to be a challenge. You just have to learn to do it right. And the Growing Your Team podcast teaches you how to become a confident leader who hires right every single time. Now, let's jump into the show where each episode you will learn tips on how to identify what type of help you need on your team, how to source amazing candidates, how to conduct interviews that lead you to your ideal team member, how to onboard successfully, and how to lead every person in your business so you have a team of rock stars who you are happy to pay every single paycheck. So let's jump in and teach you how to hire like a pro. Hello, Jamie Van Kuyk here, and welcome back to the Growing Your Team podcast. Today, I am speaking with Anna Wolfman. Anna is the founder and CEO of FemUnify, a skill exchange community and barter platform where female solopreneurs, coaches, and freelancers exchange their services and expertise to help each other grow and build their online businesses. After a decade of building a successful corporate career and managing large teams, Anna is now blazing her own trail as an entrepreneur and leads a collaborative community that helps female entrepreneurs build the businesses of their dreams faster, smarter, together. When I met Anna a few months ago, I was so excited to invite her onto the podcast because I think bartering is one of those things that doesn't get talked about enough when it comes to getting support that we need in our businesses. There's a lot of times when we want to hire for certain things at certain stages of our business where simply the cost is the number one thing that holds us back. We see the value that it would bring us, but sometimes we're not able to prepay for that value. So for example, we might know that making a $10,000 investment in our business will bring us a super positive ROI, but if we don't have the $10,000 in our bank account or the ability to put $10,000 on a credit card, what are we supposed to do? And while not all things people barter for might be $10,000 plus worth of services, there are a whole slew of things that we can barter in businesses. Bartering means someone does something for us while we do something for them that can help us get forward, that can help us grow that revenue dollar in our business, that can help us achieve great success that we wouldn't be able to achieve if we tried to do everything on our own. So we're going to talk a lot about the value of bartering, how you can do it. While a lot of Anna's community focuses on solopreneurs, there's a lot in here that I think even if you have a team, it's an avenue to think of when you want to make investments in bringing in new skill sets to your business, but you might not have the capital right now to do it. Could you exchange some of your skills for the skills someone else will give you? So let's jump into the conversation so you can learn more about bartering and how the exchanging of skills can really help positively impact a small business. Hi, Anna. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Growing Your Team podcast.
Hi, Jamie. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited to chat with you today.
Yes, I'm so excited. All right, before we get into today's episode, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I actually just moved from Toronto to Costa Rica, relocated my whole family and my kids, which is one of the perks of having an online business. So I'm still kind of figuring out all of my stuff around, but it's been quite an adventure that I'm so excited to be able to have and enjoy. So just a little bit of context and background on myself. I actually spent the first 13 years of my professional career in the corporate world. So I worked on several multi-million dollar companies across telecom and banking. I even obtained my CPA CA designation. So I've kind of been around in a lot of really great roles where I kind of got to see what great managers are like, what not so great managers are like, what it's like to build a team. I've hired and led and managed a lot of large teams as well across several strategic initiatives. So I've kind of gained that experience. And after about 13 years in that corporate world, I started kind of feeling more ready to try my own entrepreneurial adventure and start my own business, and felt kind of called to do something more for myself and to do something that felt like it had a greater impact. And that's kind of when I started my entrepreneurial journey. I was actually on maternity leave with my second baby, and I took that time. Well, in Canada, they're very generous. We get up to 18 months of maternity leave. So I used that time as a runway for me to start my own business, as really just explore what it is that I wanted to do and how I wanted to serve and what business I wanted to build. And that's kind of how I started in building my own business, which is the Femunify Skill Exchange community, an online skill exchange membership and online barter platform for female entrepreneurs. So I've been doing that for several years. And so I really got the taste of both worlds in terms of working in a slightly more structured, larger team, cross-functional team environment, and having also leading large teams myself, to kind of being like the solopreneur who wears all the hats and juggles all the balls in the air and is like a one-woman ship that I'm navigating. So that's a little bit about sort of where my experience is and where I'm at today.
Yes, I love that. And you have some experience that many business owners don't have. And you probably have seen this in your community as well, is you had the opportunity to see great leaders and everything in corporate. You had the opportunity to be exposed to the hiring process and see what works and what doesn't work. And unfortunately, there's a lot of small business owners that never really got that level of exposure. So it's all brand new when they're in their business. And it's some of those things where we're like, how hard can it be? And then you realize, oh, it is a lot harder than you think it is. And it's even harder when you're in your own business learning how to do it for the first time, because you don't have those other people that you can use as guides or that you can get feedback from.
100%. And I can honestly say, even though I had those 13 years of experience and I could see what it was like, it was still a complete like shell shock to me when I started on my own, because it was just such a transition. And I almost like realized that I had took for granted always having access to those cross-functional teams and that various expertise across the board, and having a team of employees to support me and having direction from great leaders. I almost took that for granted. I sort of just leapt into this exciting adventure, and felt excited to just learn and pick things up as I go along. And you're right, there was a little bit of that mentality of like, I'll figure it out as I go along. And I realized that it was very hard to wear all the hats, to juggle all the things, to try to navigate every single part of your business, to try to be the marketer and social media person and content creator and web designer and tech support
Yeah.
person dealing with all the tools and organizations and systems. And it was a lot. It really was a lot. And that's, to be honest, that realization and seeing that experienced across many other women who were going into freelancing or solopreneurship or coaching. I saw that common challenges that they were having, and also the suddenly you also realize that you kind of are lacking that strong support system that you've always had, and it can feel very lonely, especially in the online space, because this was also happening during COVID, and I went from working in an office where I got to see so many people every day to just working and doing everything on my own at my desk. And so all of these factors are really kind of what led me to even start Femunify. So even I took for granted, having come from corporate with all this experience, even I took for granted how much that was missing for me and how challenging that could be to somebody who has their own business.
Right. Well, I think it's one of those things like when I left my corporate job, I stayed on as a contractor for 6 months and I stayed on a contractor in a different role. So it wasn't like I was just continuing doing all the same work. And I realized how good that transition out really was. So it wasn't one day I was this corporate woman having all these people around me to then being at home by myself. I was able to kind of like readjust expectations when it came to the people I was around and that communication and not having those people there the way that they've always been there. Because then they were there in a less of a capacity. And then I'd rolled to a different project and then I was working with different people. So, you know, hear people now and they're like, it's such a shock to go from the corporate world to a small business owner because of that, the people aspect. It really drives us a lot. And that's why I think it's super important for people to find those communities that they belong in and belong with. And there, you could do it online, you could do it in your local community. There's so many communities that you can be a part of as a business owner to really help you have that connection, to help you with the things when you have questions, those things that you don't know, and now you need to know.
100%. And I think a part of it too is just being realistic and honest with yourself that as a business owner, you can't do it all and you shouldn't be doing it all, right? It's not effective. It's not efficient. It's not the best use of your time and your energy. And it's much faster to grow when you're trying to do every single part of your business on your own. So whether you've come from corporate and you've seen that already, or you're starting out on your own, and you don't have that experience, I think just having that realization that one of the best ways to grow and scale your business is to find ways to get that help is the best gift that you could give yourself, because it's not the best use of your time and energy to try to figure out and master every single part of your business, right?
You're speaking my language there.
For sure. And at the same time, and what led me to the skill exchange is also just the reality that sometimes, especially when you're just starting out and you might be bootstrapping, you might be, you're not paying yourself yet, you might not be making any money yet in your business, or your funds are really, really limited in terms of where you can invest. You might not have the luxury necessarily of hiring employees and, outsourcing all these different pieces of work that you really need help with. And that's really where skill exchanges came as a huge benefit for me. And what I'm aiming to create for other business owners as well is having that supplementary bridging the gap solution for business owners that are at that phase that could really use access to other experts in their business, but may not necessarily be able to afford to hire or outsource at that point. And that's where skill exchanges and bartering, I think, could be a really powerful strategy.
Yes. Yeah. And it's one of those things with hiring that people don't really think about a lot because they're like, I need money, I need money, I need money. And then also at the very beginning, you're like, gosh, people won't hire me because I don't have any, kind of expertise. I can't show projects because I haven't done projects in my own thing. And we think about these things. It's like you need money to hire because there's things in your business you're not good at. You need people that trust you so you can start building that reputation and have those testimonials and have those reviews. Wait, why isn't bartering something that we think about more often, where it's like, I'll help you, you help me, we both benefit, and it will help us grow in the long run.
100% for sure. And again, bartering is not meant to be a replacement, of course, to earning money. And it's not, hopefully it's not something you have to do forever, but when you can lean on it, it can be so, so powerful to help accelerate that growth and help get you to that stage faster. So really all it is, it's a value exchange nonetheless. It's still all about giving and receiving, equal and fair value. You're just, the way that I see it really, and the way that I sometimes explain it is we really have like 4 resources at our disposal, right? We have our money, which we could use, and we have our time, we have our expertise, and then we have our network, or like our social currency, our access to people who are following us and we have influence over. And so the way I see like bartering and skill exchanges is you can leverage the resources that you have to get the resources that you need. And so perhaps in certain stages when you don't yet have money to to access that expertise and that help, then you can invest some of your own time, some of your own expertise to get access to those other expertise and support that you need, and to help grow your network, to help get those clients that'll help get those testimonials and help get the ball rolling on more money for you to come. And so it's really just about optimizing the resources you have at your disposal and utilizing some of your free capacity and utilizing your strengths of what you're good at and the things that you want to keep practicing and doing and keep accumulating experience in, to both gain that experience and social currency by way of social proof by way of testimonials, and also access that expertise that you really need to help you in your business, whether it be that
Right.
web designer or that legal help or that accounting or whatever it is that you're, or marketing support or social media or whatever it is that you've never had to do before, or you don't know how to do, or you don't really want to know how to do. So
Yeah. And that's the thing, like you don't want to know how to do. And I think there's so many people, it's like, as a business owner, I have to know it all. I have to be able to do it all. And I try to educate people all the time. And it's like, you don't have to do it all. Like there's things in your business you have to learn how to do because you are the owner of your business. And there's certain skills and things as the owner of your business that you have to do. There's then certain skills and things you have to learn because at the very beginning, you can't afford to hire someone, and it's something that maybe needs to be done all the time. Like maybe, and you could probably be more of an expert on this of whether this is true or not. Maybe you can hire someone that's going to help you do your books one time. But if you really need someone that's in there all the time, keeping on top of everything, making sure your invoices are being paid, all that stuff, you might not be able to barter that as easily because once again, you have to exchange then your skill in place of it. So maybe you need to learn how to do that until you can actually hire and pay a bookkeeper. But so there are things that you have to learn, but then there's so many things you don't have to learn as a business owner. And especially those things where I feel like it's the one-offs. I need to get this done once, and then am I ever going to use these skills again? So like building a website. For a lot of businesses, you build a website and it sits there, and maybe you add some blog posts or some news articles or some content to keep it fresh, but for the most part, it sits there until you do a website refresh. Like it's just minor changes in between. And so maybe you don't need to learn how to build a website because it's not something that you're going to have to use those skills for all the time. And that would be some of the things where it's like, see what you can barter, see what you can exchange, because that value of that website, you might be able to provide the same value in your skills and expertise.
100%. Yes. And I think that's why I also think that bartering could be such a powerful strategy, because you could start with bite-sized things to test it out. You don't have to commit to something. So exactly to your point, you could figure out what are some of these like one-time initial setup things that are just worth delegating or getting help from somebody else who could do it for me, because trying to figure out everything from A to Z would be so time consuming and overwhelming. And it's not something, to your point, that you need to master on a go-forward basis. And other things, like to your point, even the accounting was a great example. Sometimes you need help with the initial setup and initial familiarity of a tool. So you could be like, how do I set up my QuickBooks for the very first time? And then maybe get some consultation on how to maintain it on a go forward basis. And then it's manageable and easy. And I could learn that part. Or maybe it's setting up like a new, a task management system, like maybe ClickUp, like setting all of that up for the first time, how to optimize that for your business, and then getting somebody to give you a walkthrough of how to continue to maintain it and use it, and even, leave you with like these resources and these videos and things like that, that really help you figure out how to use it on a go forward basis, so that what you know and what you learn is just a slice of that skill set, or, or that expertise, that you don't necessarily have to master everything and figure out all these things right out of the gate. But once somebody who's an expert in this really gives you that tangible like walkthrough of how to do this going forward, then it's like a one-time thing, and then you're able to maintain it and you're able to utilize that and incorporate that in your business. And so you might learn different bits and pieces of it, but it's a much more manageable thing as a business owner. And then of course there's certain things that you want to just delegate on a go forward basis. Maybe it's social media, maybe it's content creation, whatever it is. And then perhaps you come up with an arrangement of how to do this on a go forward basis until you can hire or outsource something like that fully. So that's the beautiful thing also about bartering, is it doesn't have to be like a, like a one size fit all. Like you could come up with different arrangements. And what I've loved seeing different women entrepreneurs in our community do is they're just so creative with the ways that they've come up to exchange skills and services. And it could be from everything from an initial setup to walkthroughs, training consultations, even like documenting certain processes for one another, and creating like digital products that they could then reuse in their own business for other clients. They just find so many creative ways to add value for one another and to leverage their expertise in ways that really help support other people in their business.
Yes. Yeah, you just made me think of something. When it comes to bartering, there might be times that we are doing this already, but we're not thinking about it officially. And so I just recorded some content. I don't know if it's going to go out yet by the time this episode comes out, but I talk about how there's like 3 different types of help you can hire. It's the doers, the leaders, and the educators. So your doers are the people that you're kind of doing the day-to-day work. They're doing the client work. They're doing the execution work and everything. Your leaders, I also sometimes refer to this as your strategers. They're the people leading the process. They're people leading the people. They're the people making sure the work is getting done. And then you have your educators, which they're the people that teach you how to do things. So in some ways, you might already be in some sort of bartering relationships with people that are teaching you, where you have those people you can call up and they're going to give you that expertise, and they know that they can call you up and get your expertise without there being any money changing hands. Like I know there was someone that I knew, and she was like, she called me up one day and she's like, can you just walk me through this? Like, I'm having trouble with this. And it was setting up a job and Indeed. And then she's like, let me know how much I can pay you for your time. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? I'm like, I call you up and ask you questions all the time. Like, this is just questions. Like, I'm telling you just simply how to do something that, I'm walking you through, I'm helping you out. So I think there's sometimes we have to think about that too, is sometimes we are in that give and take helpful thing and we're not thinking about it as bartering, but really it is when we look at teaching people and educating people and helping people.
100% for sure. I really do believe we do it so much more in our daily lives than we sometimes even recognize. And it's amazing that you have some of these people that are kind of like on your, roster, or like your little black book of people to call when you need help with something. And you also have that reciprocal relationship that you're happy to help them too. And I think that's part of the missing links as well for many women solopreneurs, is especially when they're starting out, oftentimes they don't have these contacts. They don't have these people. They don't have this network of people that they know and they trust, who are willing to help them out on, and I mean, beyond just, like sharing a freebie or just sharing like a 10-minute quick discovery call consultation. I mean, something that might be a little bit meatier, maybe a few hours worth of help. And I think that that's where having a community of like-minded women, where they are really supporting one another and they all have a willingness to share and give and take in exchange, could be so valuable to tap into, especially when you're still growing your network and when you have unique expertise that maybe you don't know. So maybe you need help with Meta and Facebook ads or Google ads, or maybe you need something unique, like you're specifically struggling with ConvertKit, which is now Kit, a certain specific tool or something. Maybe you don't know somebody who has expertise in this. So just having a community and a network of women that have this willingness to share and exchange and barter with one another, even in a small kind of like micro level. Like it doesn't have to be something massive, like I'll build a website for you. It could be small stepping stones that could be so powerful. And then the halo effect of that is that in and of itself suddenly creates this amazing effect of, now I know people who do things. And if I hear of somebody that needs help with this, like let's say I know somebody who needs help with hiring and growing their team. Now I know Jamie and I can refer Jamie, and because Jamie's been so lovely and she's helped me with a few things. And, that's how you grow your business. That's how you grow your network. People end up getting referrals, and ultimately too, people end up hiring one another. I've seen so many of those success success stories in our community, myself included. I've hired several virtual assistants from my own community because first they came in as relatively new virtual assistants and they were willing to offer some of their expertise just to get experience and testimonials. And they did some amazing work for me and amazing projects that a few months down the road, when I was ready to outsource and hire my first part-time assistant, I knew exactly who to go to because I've already had experience of working with that person, and I got a taste of what it's like to delegate to them, to get them to see what it's like to get help from somebody like that. And that was just a clear first person that came to mind when I was actually ready to hire and delegate.
Yes, yeah. And I think that's so important. Like I was even thinking that in my mind before you came there. It's like these people become your referral network. They're the people that will direct you to those paying clients because let's be honest, we can't barter with everything because we need revenue in our business. If we could do this and not get paid, we could just volunteer. And there's a lot of people who would take that, but we need revenue in our business. But this is a way to build that referral pipeline. And referrals for every business are fantastic. I know some businesses rely a lot more on referrals than others, but every business needs that referral. Every business needs that aspect of word of mouth and things like that that are helping you get in that paying business, that future business and everything. So help us brainstorm a little bit. What are some now you live this all the time. Like this is your business. You see the bartering, you see everything. But for those of us on the outside where it's just like, I've never really thought about bartering for my services and everything before. What are some like unique things or things that would be unique to us on the outside that you've seen people exchange for and barter with that, I don't know, just inspire us?
Yeah, honestly, like it's not necessarily like a completely unique, like never thought of thing before. I think it really is very, very customized depending on a few things. A, of course, what you love to do and what you love to give and what your zone of genius is, but also the different areas and parts of your business that you really feel like A, you could really use some strategic assistance in that you might be stuck in. For example, let's say like you're spinning your wheels on marketing and you're like not even sure how to approach it, and you want to do all this like social media and content, and you look almost like don't know where to start with marketing or building your brand, and you don't necessarily need somebody to do it for you. You just need that like strategy and that support and somebody who's in that world to give you like some of that strategic thinking and planning based on where you're at and what your business is and who your target audience is. So oftentimes like I see that people almost like jump too quickly to like doing, oh, I just need somebody to do my content and social media. But you quickly realize that actually you're missing like a few steps before that. You're missing like your marketing strategy. You're missing like your branding strategy of what your voice is, of what your, what you stand for, of how you want to communicate, what pain points you're solving for other people. And so sometimes it's like people almost like don't even know what they're missing because they've never had to do that. So oftentimes it's like, it's that I see oftentimes business owners need help specifically with marketing and branding. But the interesting part is they think it's like, oh, I just need help with content creation, but it's like a few steps back of like more of that strategic thinking. Also, I see a lot of that where I see a lot of business owners that are kind of drowning a little bit is in that administrative and operational stuff, because there's just so much, so many systems, so many tools, so much like tech integration. And it's something that is not easy for a lot of people. Like I'm putting my hand up here, myself included. I am not a techie person at all. I get so overwhelmed by new tech. I love the idea of efficiency and productivity and systems, but I always I just don't even, I stumble when it comes to actually like setting it up. And then once I dive into something, I realize actually it's very intuitive. It's very easy to use. I literally just needed that like support, that hand holding from somebody to just walk me through, not just like sit and watch YouTube videos, but somebody to understand my business and what I need and how I plan to use these specific tools. And so getting that assistance in terms of setting up that system, integrating a few different systems, that is just like so golden for me sometimes to get that help, because it's like I dread having to try to troubleshoot some of these techie issues that I'm sometimes having, of like, why is something simple like not working, like this email is not firing up, or this email automation is like not working or is broken. And it's like I don't even know how to like lift the hood of this car to even figure out where to look.
Right.
So those are probably like some of the biggest things. And then just another like unexpected thing that I've seen a little bit is also around outside of business, also like the space of personal development and well-being. So of course, a lot of us, our initial tendency is like, okay, I need somebody in my business for this specific business related task, like that website or marketing or content or accounting. But oftentimes I also see people really, really benefiting, and perhaps they wouldn't have sought this out to begin with, but they really are benefiting suddenly working with a wellness coach, or with a mindset coach. And it's something that would not have been top of mind because maybe they wouldn't prioritize resources towards this. But all of a sudden, a wellness or mindset coach reached out to them because maybe they need their expertise. They're like, you know what, I could actually really benefit from something like this. And it's this like unexpected level of support that is like, wow, I wouldn't have invested right now in a mindset and confidence coach, but or in a wellness coach, but I'm getting so much value out of this. And I see how this is now an immense effect on my business beyond like the tactical or beyond the strategic. So those are like some of the really exciting things that people are just discovering, ways to tap into each other's expertise.
Yeah, I love that. One of the questions that I had, well, I actually have two questions, but I'll start with the first one that came to mind was, if someone is new to bartering, so someone's new joining your community and everything, and they're really just getting into it, is there any tips you say, like kind of to play small at first, or, because like I think like one of my packages right now, I have a lot of different ways I help clients, but I'm just going to go to one of the top right now. One of my top packages is a $10,000 package. There's people out there that have $10,000 packages for some stuff that I could use for my business, especially when we talk about marketing strategy and implementation and stuff like that. Like, you know, would you ever say that might, like, if you're not used to bartering, if you don't have a relationship built with that company yet, is a $10,000 give and take exchange something where you would say that might be too much to start? Maybe start smaller with smaller items and build your way up to that so you can make sure that there's trust and mutual respect between that person, or just getting used to bartering in general. Or you say, no, like if you guys have those ways that you can mutually benefit each other, and it's of that same value, it doesn't matter what the dollar value is attached to it. It's still just that give and take.
Yeah. So there's no like a straightforward answer to this. I think that really what it comes down to, and let me take a step back. So I do encourage people that are fairly new to business in general to always start small, because it could be overwhelming, especially if you're still in the process of figuring out your own offers and your own delivery and what you're providing, and you're still not clear exactly on what you also need from somebody else. And so if you're still in that discovery process of I'm still not sure exactly what I'm looking from that expert. I've never really outsourced or worked with somebody before on such a high package before, then it's safer to start small. And what we call it is like more like micro offers. We encourage people to try to really define very specific and granular targeted offers that are very explicit in terms of this is what you can expect to get from me. So just to give the example of like the website developer, of course you could have a $10,000 package of a complete full suite website development and maintenance and all these different images and assets and all of this and SEO and everything. And you could also have really mini micro offers where it could be, a 3-hour consultation to give an audit to somebody on their website and provide really customizable recommendations. So the key is to try to define different offers that might resonate with different audiences and might give different people almost like chunkable services, like a taste of what it's like to work with you, so that you feel like you're providing very good value, but it's in a more clearly defined outcome. Now, I will say that if you have two different experts like yourselves who have been in business, who are very clear on what their offers are, and they might have high ticket offers, they know exactly what gets delivered in these offers, they've offered it to many other clients before, and they've also worked with other high ticket coaches or high ticket service providers, and so they know what to expect, then by all means, I encourage people to still find that reciprocal arrangement, because the key is really to vet somebody and almost like interview them. So note, like if you were ready today to invest in a $10,000 coaching package, for example, you would probably do a lot of due diligence. You would want to speak to that person. You would want to maybe have some free consultations or discovery calls to really get a taste of what it's like to work with them. You would like to have a very good understanding of what the deliverables are and what are some of like the milestones and checkpoints and things like that. So if people are already at this point where they are accustomed to delivering high ticket services and they know what to expect from getting high ticket services, and they've partnered with somebody that they feel a good vibe with, and they can they feel like they can trust, then by all means, why not go for it if you have something that is mutually beneficial to both, and you could go for it. So it really depends on your comfort level. The key really to bartering is what I tell all our members: you want to treat anybody that you give your services to as the same way as you would to any other paying client. They are essentially a paying client because they're paying you with their time and their expertise and their way of showing you value. So you want to treat them exactly the same that you would, with the same level of care and love and going above and beyond and excellence in the quality that you deliver. And likewise, when you are partnering with somebody to get services from them, you want to go through the same level of due diligence that you would if you were about to shell out the money out of your own pocket, right? And ask the right questions and make sure that you get a good vibe from this person, and you feel confident entering into this type of a relationship. So that's really the key, is to treat it the same way as you would any other paid and paying relationship.
Yeah. So yes, that all makes sense. And I think it's like, there's a few really important things that you've said in there that I just kind of want to break things down for listeners. Is one, you mentioned if, someone's already used to providing these high ticket offers and all that stuff. And I think that just goes to show is you can get into bartering relationships no matter where you are in business. This does not have to be something that you're doing only when you're starting out and you really don't have a lot of revenue yet, or you have no revenue yet. You could be selling those high ticket offers, but still there's things that you can do, give and take, to maybe help reduce some of your costs or things like that as you're continuing to build and continuing to scale, and just knowing the value of what those barter relationships can bring to you, as we talked about, those referrals and those things like there. So once again, you can be of any size. Like someone could be really good at what they're doing and offering those services where people are paying for them and they're still willing to barter it for you. So you can find those relationships. Two, you mentioned when you're kind of doing your due diligence, which once again, all I talk about, well, not all, but mostly hiring. And what we teach about is hiring and everything. And we talk about even sometimes when you're hiring contractors is a different process than hiring employees, but you still need to be doing your due diligence. You still need to be going through a process to make sure that they're the right person for you. And as you talked about going through that process to really make sure that they're the right person for you, you mentioned having those milestones. So it could also be one of those things. If you're exchanging a $10,000 package for a $10,000 package, you're not doing all $10,000 worth of work and then hoping that they do their work. It could be one of those things where you build up those milestones together. Okay, you're each going to do this first level. And then if they don't complete that first level, you don't move on to level 2 of the work that you're doing. So that could be a way to protect yourself as well with those built-in milestones to make sure that you're getting what you think you're going to get through the trade. And I'm not saying that anyone's going to be out there that's going to not do the work when you get in there, but you never know what's going to come up. It could all of a sudden they're flooded with paying clients, and for whatever reason they push this to the back burner because even though they enter that relationship with you, the revenue paying clients and other things might become more of a priority. So it's just one of those things you talked about, kind of build things in so you can trust and keep those relationships going and flowing, and making sure you're protecting yourself as well with those milestones. And also it sets expectations for yourself. You can tell them you will receive this from me by this date. Then we will move on to this. And then we will move on to this. So they know what they're getting from you, which, like I said, sets expectations, which makes people happier in the long run when they know what they're getting and when they're getting it.
100%. Yes. And I love how you broke that down, because to your point, the same way that we would treat hiring a contractor or an employee, like a lot of the common principles really apply, even for skill exchanges, regardless of the level. And yes, unfortunately, sometimes we can be disappointed, even with contractors that we hire, even with coaches that we hire. I mean, you hear all the time, I've spent $10,000 on a coaching package and I didn't get what I hoped for. So unfortunately, that can sometimes happen in any situation as a business owner, right? And any investment that we make as a business owner, it's always a little bit of a risk. But of course, that is why it's important to, to meet with the people and to go through that due diligence and to kind of help vet that person. And we do support our members in doing that as well. And that is why if you haven't yet delivered like a big ticket package or haven't yet been in a situation where you've hired somebody for a big ticket package, we do encourage to start small, test out the waters. And so it could be like mini milestones or mini deliverables to just test out the experience of what it's like to collaborate and work together. And then you can debrief and say, was I happy with this? Do I like this person? Do I like working with them? Do I feel like I got good value out of it? Yes, then let's continue to the next milestone. Let's continue to the next relationship. And that's really, again, the beautiful thing about bartering is it doesn't have to be like an all or nothing thing. You could chunk it out into smaller bite-sized packages. And that's why it's also a great stepping stone ultimately to hiring. Because it gives you that opportunity to flex that muscle of delegation, to really see what it's like to actually work with a partner on a different part of your business. Also for yourself too, to improve on that communication, improve on that delegation, improve on setting those expectations, because it takes time for somebody who's never had a contractor, never had an employee. It might be new to them to relinquish some of that control and to open up some of their business and maybe some of their information and things like that, and to get somebody to actually step into their business and help them in some way. So for people that are not familiar with that part, I always encourage to start small, start a little safer, get a taste for it. And more often than not, people actually are so relieved when they actually see the value of getting a different expert to help them in a part of their business that they've been struggling, or to help them with a strategy that they've been struggling to suddenly get that clarity. And they're like, oh my God, I should have started delegating or doing skill exchanges or getting help sooner, because they just see all the value that it can help them in their business, all the peace of mind, the access to the expertise, and just really all the benefits.
Yes, yes, love that. Okay, I think my final question before we have to start wrapping up for today is, in your community, because obviously you've built a community, so it's not necessarily people going out and to wherever and finding people on their own. Like they're in this community. Are you finding that it's always like a give and take bartering? Or sometimes are people like, yes, I can help you with that. You don't necessarily have anything that I need right now, but I know I can raise my hand later and someone else from this community is going to help me. So, or do you feel like still in your community, it's always that one for one exchange with the same two people?
Yeah, so I'll say it leans more towards the latter. So in our community, it's the Femunify Skill Exchange, and really the beautiful thing about it, it's for women entrepreneurs, and people that come in there have a willingness to share and exchange and give and take. So there's generally that openness to both giving and receiving. And oftentimes, again, depending on the scope and the size and the scale of the ask, but oftentimes there are people that are more than happy to jump on a quick call or offer some support, even if they don't have something immediate that they need from that person. But again, the beautiful thing is that oftentimes people actually want to give back also and want to reciprocate. And they're like, let me think of some creative ways that maybe I could help you out, or maybe I'll give you a shout out in my newsletter, or I'll refer you to somebody else if I hear of somebody who needs these types of services or expertise. So there's definitely that, oftentimes that like willingness, that it doesn't always have to be reciprocal. Of course, for a larger scale project, that there is an expectation. I will also say that oftentimes it also depends on the person and what stage of business they're in and their capacity. So if somebody is maybe they've been a web designer for a really long time, but they're now starting in their own business and they want to gain those, like their portfolio, those testimonials, and they're building their business up and their portfolio up, then they're actually willing to offer more of their services freely without a reciprocal exchange, just to help them build their portfolio, to get those testimonials faster. And then if they get help from somebody else on the other end, then that's just a bonus. That's like the cherry on the cake. But they're more than welcome. They're more than willing to offer some of their expertise freely, because it really helps them in building their business so much faster. And they're doing it in part of a very collaborative community, supporting other women entrepreneurs, empowering other women entrepreneurs. And that just gives them also a lot of, great kind of fulfillment and satisfaction, and just kind of doing this in a mutual support.
Yes, I love that. All right. Well, we have to go start wrapping up. So tell everybody how they can get in touch with you.
Amazing. Thank you. You can find us online at femunify.com, or just on LinkedIn, on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook at Femunify. That's kind of like our main hashtag where you can find us online. And yeah, come check out our website, come check out our community. We'd love to welcome you in, support you in your business. We have so many amazing things that we offer in our community. So we'd love for you to become a member and support you in accelerating your business growth.
Awesome. All right. My final question that I love to ask all my guests. We've all had leaders or managers that have stood out to us. Think of a leader or manager who stood out to you and share one thing about them.
Yeah, so I had this incredible manager that he's done something that I haven't seen other managers do before. Very early on in working for that team, he has encouraged me to actually be very entrepreneurial inside and otherwise pretty big, rigid corporate environment. He really encouraged me to not just think about the work that's on my plate or coming down my pipeline, but to actively seek out opportunities, to create opportunities for our team, to grow the visibility of our team within the company, to almost like look for new projects that could benefit our team. And it was such a mindset shift, because before, where I usually would have even amazing leaders and managers, but the work would come kind of top down, he sort of opened up the floodgates to say, be your own like salesperson, be your own entrepreneur within this company, and seek out new and exciting projects that you think would help elevate our team, or you think our team could really be put to good use to help other parts of the company. And that was such an amazing mind shift that I honestly think planted that entrepreneurial seed in me that ultimately led me down that entrepreneurial path. So that level of empowerment and that level of opportunity to go seek out and look for new opportunities was just a complete game changer for how I and didn't think was possible in a corporation, but was a complete game changer for me that stuck with me to this day.
Yes, that's awesome. I'm actually working with a client right now where they have that philosophy throughout their entire organization. And some of the positions that I've helped to fill in that company have been positions that have come out of some of that stuff, where their employees like, ooh, we should try this. We should do this. We should add this. And they're like, okay, go try it. And then it's been so successful that they have to grow the team supporting that initiative. And so these powerful things can happen when you allow your employees to step outside the box or take on more, or really see in their point of view, what should the company do? Where should it go? Now, word of caution is, remember, you're always driving the ship. You're leading the ship as the business owner. So make sure that they're not taking you off course someplace that you shouldn't be, that, kind of make sure everything is still forming or still connecting to your goals and missions and who you are as a company in some way, but definitely empower your employees.
Yes, I love that. Empower your employees and give them space and room to take initiative and really shine, I think could be really, really valuable.
Yes, absolutely. All right, Anna, thank you so much for joining us today on the Growing Your Team podcast.
Thank you so much, Amy.
And that wraps up this episode of the Growing Your Team podcast. But before we end, are you feeling overworked and know that you need to delegate more? Delegating work and getting support when you have too much on your plate is one of the most important things you can do. Not only does it help prevent burnout, but it also helps you achieve more success by allowing you to focus your time and talents in the right places. But sometimes we are so focused on doing everything that is currently on our to-do list that we're not able to easily see what we should pass off to another team member. If you're struggling trying to figure out what to delegate, I invite you to download the free Determine What to Delegate worksheet. This worksheet helps you determine what you should delegate. This is a crucial step in the hiring process because you can't hire the right person or get the proper support if you don't delegate the right items. And delegating the wrong items could actually cost you more than you gain. Download your copy of the Determine What to Delegate worksheet at growingyourteam.com/delegate. Once again, that's growingyourteam.com/delegate. And then join us back here for another episode of the Growing Your Team podcast.